Hi, we're going to explain how to graph trigonometric functions. This video is made by Sharon Harari, Daniela Covarrubias, and Regina Rosales. The general formula of the function sine is y equals a sin bx plus c, and the general formula of the function cosine is y equals a cos bx plus c. Each letter represents a value that transforms the graph. A is a change in the amplitude, B is a change in the period, and C is when the midline changes. The only difference between a graph of sine and cosine is that when x equals 0, the value of y in sine will be of 0, and the value of y in cosine will be of 1.
An example of a change in the amplitude is y equals 2 sine of x. So the amplitude will be 2 instead of 1, and the graph would go from minus 2 to 2. A change in the period would be y equals sine 2 of x. To obtain the period, you divide 2 pi over the value of b, that in this case is 2, and you obtain pi as a result. So instead that the period has a distance of 2 pi, it is going to have a distance of 1, and when it gets to 2 pi, the graph would already have been repeated twice. Finally, an example of a change in the midline is y equals sine of x plus 1. This transformation makes the midline be at 1 instead of being at 0, so the graph would go a value up. It could also go down if c is negative, which this transformation the range changes.
We're going to do an example of a graph of the function sine with transformations. Y equals minus 3 sine of 2x minus pi minus 4. Out of this we know that the amplitude is 3. To obtain the period we divide 2 pi over 2 and the result is pi. We also know that the midline will be at 4. Always in sine and cosine, the domain will be all the real numbers, and in this case the range is minus 1 to 1. To locate the 2 points of the function, we must establish that the sine of 0 equals 0, so 2x minus pi equals 0, and x is equal to pi over 2. Now, we also establish that the sine of 2 pi equals 0, 2x minus pi equals 2 pi, so we solve it, 2x equals 3 pi, and x is equal to 3 halves of pi. Now we graph it. We put the midline at 4, and we start going down, given that the sign is negative, and we trace the function from the first point that we determined that is pi halves to the second one that is 3 halves of pi. Now we're going to solve a problem with the function cosine, in which y equals 5 cosine of x minus 3. From this we know that the amplitude is 5. The period is 2 pi due that there is no change, and the midline will be at minus 3. Now we graph it. We put the midline at minus 3. We put the values of the amplitude, and we trace it, starting at y equals 2. Finally, we know that the domain will always be all the real numbers, and the range goes from minus 8 up to 3.